It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a weekly podcast where we talk about everything that's great. Like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
This is not a test. We love TV, movies, and superheroes. Let's talk it all out.
My name is Having a Mental Breakdown, also known as Chris.
My name's Mike. I'm doing fine over here.
He's enjoying watching me struggle at this. This week we have James Bond news. That's exciting.
And we are definitely the podcast to run down James Bond news.
I have watched A View to Kill twice in the past 4 days, so we'll talk about why and stuff in a few minutes. It's also shaken, not stirred. I'm not even reading my own jokes. I'm at such a breaking point now, right?
You biffed it.
Yeah, well, it'll be in the SEO. The Batman gets a big update. We can talk about that
over the air, or is this something we got to put it in a flash drive and plug it in your computer? How are we updating Batman here?
You have to delete a couple apps off your phone because you ran out of space to get the update first, and then you can download it and update it. So
those Batman drivers, they're the worst.
Yeah. It's just get Alfred; he'll fix it for you. He'll do it. Spider-Man gets a mood board. Ooh, fancy! If you know what those are, and more.
I am having a unique week here for the podcast. My wife randomly brought home an unknown aged pint of beer, and it's called Straw Gator. And there's little bits floating around in it, and I'm not familiar with the beer. I have to assume it's strawberry bits, or the beer has gone south. So I was getting ready to just take a sip and pour it out because we were cleaning out the fridge just before we started recording. But it actually ended up tasting pretty good. So I think this will be the first time I've ever drank a pint of beer on the podcast. And it's 8%, which is pretty freaking strong, at least for me, how I drink my beers. This is kind of like IPA territory. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like a Belgian wheat adjacent, kind of like lager territory. And I like it. So our last topic of the show is Sony. So we'll just see how I am once we get to Sony, because after having a kid and being close to my 40s, I am a cheap date when it comes to alcohol.
I'm about to drink with the technical difficulties we were having getting this podcast live for you folks today. We could not go live. We could just record it normally and not have these. But like I literally, Mike got to listen to me break down for 3 minutes. Trying to get this thing going, which I'd set up earlier thinking I was like ahead of the game, and nope, when you try to think, you just shot in the ass right there. So we're kicking it off today.
We even got on the mic like 15 minutes early.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm ready to go early, and we needed all of that extra time.
Yeah, we really did. So we're here, and we're gonna have a good time. We don't have a lot of topics today, and I think it's because the 4th of July weekend's coming up, Mike. In Friday, 5 days away. So hopefully everyone has a safe 4th of July. If you're gonna, use fireworks, do it safely, or just don't get caught. But at the other time, just housekeeping. Top of the show. We will not be here next week. We're gonna take off for the weekend and come back strong in July, which I believe I'm gonna take a stab in the dark here. That is we'll be back Superman weekend. Mike, is that correct? The 11th of July?
Yeah, I think so. We got Superman. I don't think we have any immediate plans to talk about Jurassic World on the pod, but I think we kind of both are curious. Would like to watch it. And then, of course, Fantastic Four towards the end of the month.
I don't think I'm going to watch. I haven't even watched the last 2 Jurassic Worlds. I'm not going to watch those 2 and then this one. So
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Big reveal, Morty. I'm a pickle. No, I'll, if I get time, I'll watch them. But I'm not chomping at the bit to catch up on Jurassic Worlds. To watch. The new one.
It's a great segue to what I've been doing over the week, where wake up in the morning, take the kid down in front of the TV. She plays with all of her toys. And then I launch Peacock, which is on its way out the door in our household because my wife very briefly worked for Comcast Universal years ago. And during the short stint where she was an employee, she got a free Peacock account. and she has not worked there in years, and we've just been getting free Peacock for the longest time. And
you
then
shouldn't say this out loud. You should not put
no,
this in a recorded
I
meeting.
already got the email a couple days ago that the account is going to be like terminated, or actually it said we're going to use the card on file and we're going to start charging you starting in a couple days. So I was like, all right, I'm going to load up Peacock. What do we got on here? Every Jurassic Park movie is on Peacock. So a funny anecdote is you watch the first one, it starts auto playing the second one right away. And then after I finished watching the second one, I was like, I could take or leave the third one right now. I kind of would just like to jump into Jurassic World. Well, Peacock read my mind. It doesn't even recommend Jurassic Park 3. It just takes you right on to Jurassic World and then through the rest of the franchise. So I thought that was pretty funny. So I watched all these Jurassic Park movies again passively, and then I came back around to Jurassic Park 3, and it's a little silly, but there's some still really good set pieces. It's kind of like the last one where they would still at least attempt to put like physical, like kind of mechanical props of these dinosaurs. Like I think it's like the Spinosaurus or whatever is like the main dino in that one. And there's definitely cuts where it's just like, here's a shot, giant animatronic, here's a shot, CGI, cuts, giant animatronic, cut to the CGI. So they're still kind of doing the classic like Jurassic Park magic trick in that one, which I appreciate.
And I think it was like one of the last ones like on set too. By the time we got to Jurassic World, it was all blue screens, right? Green screen stuff.
Oh yeah.
So there's that, but I also I want to chastise you a bit because you dressed it up as Alan Grant from Jurassic Park 3 for Comic-Con years ago, probably 10 years ago now, maybe.
I mean, technically, if I want to be pedantic, Chris, I dressed up as Alan Grant from Jurassic Park, the first one, but then decided to carry on a raptor head that said Alan on it. So I was kind of the melding of two movies there. But the
reference was 3. You had to see 3 to get the talking Velociraptor piece of it.
Yeah, so. That's true. And then we had a moment one morning where we drove by a 7-Eleven and we saw that it was entirely Jurassic World themed. They had basically like vinyl wrapped the entire building.
Yeah.
And we went inside, and I sent you some pictures of the inside. There's all these Jurassic Park standees, these like Slurpee cups got dinosaurs all over them, and we were there early ahead of time. Like the grand opening of this themed 7-Eleven was this weekend, and they added a giant, like I think it's inflatable Mosasaurus head on top of the 7-Eleven. Wow. And the way the 7-Eleven is wrapped, it's all wrapped in blue to look like water. So on the vinyl wrap, you see like the bottom half of the mosasaur, and then based on the perspective of standing in the parking lot, you see the rest of it kind of coming out like it's breaching the water. It's really cool. And on the corner, kind of like where they would have like the ice machine where you get your bags of ice in front of the 7-Eleven, it says like 1 out of 3. So I was like, oh, there's like 2 other 7-Elevens in LA somewhere. Like one's got to be land and like one's got to be sky themed.
You're at the water temple and you have to
exactly.
the water temple before you can go to the land temple and the air temple.
So I kept Googling, trying to figure out where it was. And like, I guess like 7-Eleven needs better marketers or something, because I was Googling every keyword under the sun for 7-Eleven and Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. And there was like no like press release page. There was no landing page. There was nothing that was giving me any information. I had to find like a random blog that covered it. And the other 2 7-Elevens are actually in New York. And you'll never guess where the third one is. A town in Ohio, I think called Beaver Creek or something. Wow. And I don't know why the other one's in Ohio. I tried to Google like, hey, what's the, like maybe there's a story element in the new movie that has to do with Ohio. I don't know, but it's there.
it's a Speedway. That's what it is. Because I don't know if you know this, 7-Eleven bought Speedway 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5.
It's like Speedway. Like, is their headquarters in Ohio or something? I don't know.
Yeah, Speedway's regional to me. That's why we don't have 7-Elevens here. But I can go into a Speedway and get all the 7-Eleven merch. So yes, so the Speedway is the Ohio thing. It's kind of like it's like their cheeseburger helper. We bought, hamburger helper is the basic, but like, what if you tried it with cheeseburger?
I would really like to see the other 2 themed 7-Elevens, because I want to know what they're doing with like the big dinosaur props or whatever. But I had a fun time rewatching them. I mean, if you like the Jurassic Park movies, to me are kind of like how the Fast and Furious movies to a lot of other people. I've kind of like divested the movies from being like cinema to like this is the only property that's giving me big dinosaurs. Like nobody else wants to touch dinosaurs, so like I'm just stuck with Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that as of right now. Beggars can't be choosers.
It's name brand dinosaurs, if you will, for that. Well, I'll tell you what. I actually I went and bought a bunch of VHS this weekend. I was gonna tell you that I was gonna talk about it, and one I kept seeing The Lost World on VHS at this. It's a Peddler's Mall booth, so there's no rhyme or reason to these goddamn tapes, Mike. They're just shoved on these shelves, as tall as I am, if not taller. I was trying to see if they're too deep or whatever, and I hide in there. And I bought 20 tapes. I was able to get Star Wars Episode 1 and Episode 2 on VHS in those gold packages or sleeves they used to have after the special editions came out. I got an original Star Wars from the CBS Fox era, like that matches that laser disc I showed you. I got Blade 2. I picked up a Gundam Wing tape I saw randomly sitting in the thing.
Nice.
Some Dragon Ball tapes. Yeah, it's VHS. They're like a couple dollars a piece. Like I'm just over here like trying to just shove all the ones in my hands I wanted. But by God, if you wanted a copy of Short Circuit on VHS, they had it for you. Like they had as many copies of Short Circuit as you could imagine there, because it made me think like, why are all these like, nothing against Short Circuit. I grew up watching it, nothing against it, but like it's not a good movie. I don't watch it today. I don't think about it unless I see the names somewhere. So like, why? Like, I would love to go back and think about the logistics of like movies that just overprinted VHSs, like mass produce them because maybe they were doing good in rentals. Maybe they were doing good in like, the aftermarket sale. Like it didn't do good in stores or in theaters. So they found out maybe they could get some life out of it in stores for that. I also bought, it was Mel Brooks' 99th birthday yesterday. I don't know if you knew that. Thanks to listener to the show, Patrick, for telling me. And I bought.
I thought you were going to say thanks to modern science
No.
to getting him to 99 years old.
Yeah, no. But they had Spaceballs, Robin Hood Men in Tights, and Young Frankenstein there as well, which I brought home in honor of his birthday. And we put on Spaceballs this morning. It's like some background noise because obviously we talked about the second one being announced and coming out next week. So I had so many VHSs at this little Peddler's World. They're like, can we hold these behind the counter for you while you keep looking? I'm like, yes, please. Like, I want you. Yes, I'm gonna buy these. Let me go look for some more along the way. So that was a good time. I'll have to send you the photos of them because they're just like, no rhyme or reason. I didn't see Blade 1 on VHS, but I was gonna buy Blade 2 when I saw it along the way with that. And then also I watched Live and Let Not Live and Let Die. Die Another. These Bond movie titles are really awful, Mike. I don't know if you know this. A View to Kill. It was the last Roger Moore film. And my friend Brian was in town. He's a Bond head, if you will. Loves James Bond. Grew up with it. If I don't know something James Bond, I go to him. He's the guy I know to go to. And we talked about A View to Kill. I didn't know this. Christopher Walken is the villain in that movie, Mike. And we had it on in the background. So we watched about half of it, and then it kind of tapered off, and then we were like, oh, we didn't really watch it, so we put it on again and rewatched it. So I don't know if you ever saw that, but it really made me realize Roger Moore was getting up in age at the end of his tenure as James Bond. You can see like the wrinkles. He's like an old man. Like it's like watching your dad be James Bond. It's kind of really bad in that sense. You're like, oh, we're used to Daniel Craig. We're used to Pierce Brosnan for our generation. But I was like, oh, I forgot how old they got.
It was rough back then. Even like 25-year-olds looked like they were 45.
Yeah.
So they had nowhere to go. They had no room. They had no breathing room.
Yeah, I was gonna say this was A View to Kill was 85 even, and I'm trying to figure out how like Roger Moore was James Bond for 12 years across 7 movies, and I'm just trying to see how old he was whenever he was in that movie because I'm like, oh, he was up there in terms of that. But I'll look it up. I'll look it up later. But it's fun. Again, Christopher Walken. The Golden Gate Bridge is the end of it. They say the name of the movie in the movie, Mike, and that's always a good sign, I think.
Perfect.
But that gets us into our next thing. If you've been waiting for James Bond, guess what? We have James Bond news for you because Amazon MGM have officially announced Denis Villeneuve, I believe it's pronounced, director of Dune, Blade Runner 2049, Arrival, has been hired to be the director for the next James Bond film, which has no date and no script and no actor assigned to this in this time.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big get, right? I mean, if you are, I kind of just wonder overall, like, I'd like to be a fly on the wall at Amazon slash MGM, however they want to brand the mini boardroom meetings that they've had over the future of Bond. Like, what's their strategy here, right? Are they trying to find new audiences for Bond? Are they just trying to make the best movie possible and just let the quality kind of speak for the studio? I'm not saying any answer is correct. I'm just kind of curious. I'd love to know, but obviously this is a big get, right? This is one of the hottest directors in Hollywood. Amazon's got the deepest pockets. So
And
I mean,
they need a
this
theatrical
can't
hit.
this can only be good news, right?
Yeah, they need a theatrical hit. And obviously, it sounds to me like they're going with a director and their vision rather than, hey, we have a script and we're just gonna have someone come in and fill in the pieces, right? Because you don't hire the director first and be like, hey, we're gonna hire you and then we'll just tell you what to do. Especially someone of this caliber. I think he's doing Dune 3. Before he does this, so we're not in a hurry to get James Bond out there, but it is interesting to go this way. One of the other notes from Variety, they did say that Villeneuve will not have final cut of the film. However, this is a standard practice, like all Bond films, no matter who the directors were, they've never had a final cut because of the it used to be the Broccoli family, has like final say on like the cuts and stories, right? Because it's their property. So he will not have the final cut of the film. He's only signed on for one Bond film, not a trilogy, not a several films. So it could change if it's successful, or he could walk away if it's not working out, right? Like we're not married to his version if it's bad or not bad. I don't think it'll be bad. It might just not be beloved, but we can see that. And then also, like I said, the studio is searching for a writer, and the actor will be cast after the script is finished. So interesting take to it, but like you said, it was fun to get that bit of news this week, right? Like, hey, it's been several years, we know you want to see it. We talked about the James Bond game coming out from the people who make Hitman, probably next year. I think we saw a trailer recently. Pretty cool with this. Now I would say the one thing for me for James Bond, because the first one I ever saw was actually Casino Royale, the first Daniel Craig movie. I missed Gold. I played, like I said, I've told people this. I played the game GoldenEye, but I never watched the movie. I would love to see how they kind of bring this forward without, relying too much on technology, like modern technology. Like I don't want a James Bond versus Chat GPT kind of like movie, right? Like that's what Tom Cruise just did Mission Impossible. Give me something interesting, like real stakes, real, tangible things too.
Yeah, I've seen some interesting ideas out there on the internet of like, oh, wouldn't this be interesting if we went back in time and this was a period piece? Not so much, oh, the origin of James Bond, but just like make, your normal James Bond movie where Bond could be in his, I don't know, late 20s, 30s, early 40s, whatever age he needs to be. And it could just be like the 70s or something. There's no reason it can't just be set in a decade where like spycraft was more like actual craft, and like the further we get into the future, the less we need Bond, and just like we much more need the Qs of the world. Like those are the people like launching the drones and hacking the files and everything. But
It's less personal. War is less personal these days, right? We need a sexy James Bond sleeping with the secretaries because, that's how you get in the door. You steal their key card, and then you can get your way into the building facility. With it.
Yeah, I wonder if Villeneuve is gonna like stick around. Is he just gonna be kind of more like kind of like the level setter of like, hey, I'm gonna set the tone with my movie, and then I'll move on. But he seems to like franchises. He seems to be sticking around with Dune and seems to be happy. So maybe he'll do that. I just would like, I think, in my view, as kind of like a modern member of the film audience and not a huge Bond fan, I would like there to be less ambiguity in the franchise. Like, either tell me a continuation, like a story where we pick up where we left off and we follow Bond on his journey through his career and all of the movies are connected, or just don't connect them at all. Like, the Daniel Craig Bond movies were so all over the place. Like, I feel like they could not make a decision of, oh, is there a continuing thread through all of these? And are these like a franchise where you need to binge watch all of them? Or is it this just like, oh, they're all one-offs and they all exist on their own? It felt like they could really never decide what they wanted to do and kind of lived in this weird in the middle space. So as long as they pick a direction, I'll be happy.
Did you watch the Daniel Craig movies? Because they are all connected.
Yeah, but barely. I mean, like, he'll go, like, I know they kind of got a little bit more connected once you got towards like the back half of the trilogy, but
The
like
first two, like Quantum of Solace, picks up at the end of Casino Royale.
but the only thing that's like really connecting them like together is like there's no like thread of like villains or anything. It's just like, oh, the woman I slept with like drowned. Okay, let's just carry that thread on, and then I'll just keep sleeping with women. It has not really affected me. I'm not saying there was no connective tissue, but didn't really feel like I was like following Bond through his career. He was just kind of like the same guy in every movie to me.
Yeah, I'll just go the other way. I disagree with that. I think Bond can live and go. Unless they sign one person or the writer for multiple films, I don't want to. This feels like a Star Wars approach right now, and I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't say commit to a continuity unless you like we're gonna line up 3 movies or something like that. Which they never have. They don't. Maybe back in the day they used to do the Bond movies that fast, but I think in this current state, what we've been given, it feels more like they're gonna do standalones, and that's fine with me though. So that's fine. Bond movies they're coming. They're staple cinema. I agree with you though. I'd love to go back to the past. I just don't think that, like I said, we have Mission Impossible for the future, and James Bond can go back to the past. But when we're talking about Denis Villeneuve, he reminds me very much of Matt Reeves from the DC universe, right? For the Batman, like you hire the director and he gets to kind of do all the fun stuff. Some of the writing, some of the directing, really brings the tone forward. And I forgot to include the image here, but he has shared that Matt Reeves, and Mattson Tomlin have confirmed the first draft of the script has been turned in to James Gunn. Mike, after everyone's bitching on the internet forever, they finally were like, "Yeah, here's a photo of the script. People, shut the fuck up."
Yeah, I saw the picture and everything. It's a stack of paper binded.
Mm-hmm. With the Batman Batman logo on it, like mind you, like
Yeah,
that's how you know.
Yeah, which is
go ahead.
Which is like funny to me because I always wonder like, oh yeah, these are like script writing software, so like they're not really like image handlers.
Mm-hmm.
So like, oh, we had to get just the right Batman logo. Let's get it in there. Let's finesse it around.
Do you think? I don't even think this is a printed script. Like I would not be surprised if it's like a page 1, because you can't even see it. Like the focal point on this image feels very out of whack, if you will. Like the focus is the Batman logo. It's been focused literally like just a couple like an inch or 2 below the title, which you can kind of make out as the Batman Part 2 is very, very extremely blurry. So I don't know if it's like a digital blur or what, but they're just showing off the Batman logo. But the fun fact of this is, I don't know if people know this, but Mattson Tomlin unofficially helped write some of the script for the first Batman. He did not get credit for it, so they brought him in to give him credit for this one as well, which is cool.
That's nice.
Yeah,
that's climbing the Hollywood ladder. Good job.
It is. Now I can't wait till James Gunn goes in there and rewrites it and adds his name to it. James Gunn's the Batman Part 2. No, I don't think he will.
I gotta get Peacemaker in here somewhere.
Yeah. I think he'll leave it alone. Like I said, it's not in the DCU. Hopefully he figures out his own Batman issues first. I just with the script being done, Robert Pattinson is filming. Is he in the Odyssey right now with is that what he's doing with Christopher Nolan?
I think so. Maybe. Yeah.
Because he was in Tenet with them and all the other stuff. So once he's done, they'll probably work on getting this into a shooting schedule, probably first thing next year. So I'm guessing 2027 for this? You think? I think the Batman was a spring, was spring 2022. So March 2020. So I could see March 2027.
It's funny. 2027 seems kind of right around the corner for a movie that hasn't started filming yet. Right. But I just saw that the next chapter of the Spider-Verse is coming out 2027, and I was like, oh, that seems like it's forever away. So it's the same amount of time, just 2 years.
Yeah. I forgot we do have this on our release schedule. Batman Part 2 is October 1st, 2027 at this moment. Mind you, things can change over there, but script is done and that's good. Hopefully this it'll get some people off his back. I would love to see this universe is too grounded, too realistic. I don't know what we're gonna get as a villain. I'm still gonna lean into Hush. They're gonna do a Hush thing, but they could always pull in their Joker, right, who was teased in the first one behind blurry glass. So we'll see. We'll keep you guys posted if anything comes out of this. I don't expect to hear anything this year, but New York Comic Con may surprise us with some announcements. Superman. Oh, I also bought Superman 3 and 4 on VHS, Mike, the most beloved Superman movies of all time, The Quest for Peace, that nobody enjoys. But Superman the movie coming out, James Gunn. Commercials are in full effect. I know you probably don't get a lot of those, but just a heads up if anyone's out there, commercials are in full effect, so start avoiding those. But the rumor is that there are 2 post-credit scenes for this movie, and this was revealed from one of those. It wasn't a fan screening. What was James Gunn doing in Manila or something, like a DC event screening or something like that recently? So this seems about par for the course for 2 post-credit scenes, right, for modern movies.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Gunn, or at least the Superman marketing department, whoever was responsible. I was scrolling through threads last week, and I saw somebody not direct message, because it was on their feed. They added James Gunn and said, "Hey, I'm going into surgery to have my stomach removed because I have stomach cancer, and I'm worried the movie's going to get spoiled because I'm not going to be able to go see it because I'll be recovering from stomach cancer. Is there a way I can get an early screening before I go in for surgery?" And it went kind of viral. There's a lot of reposts. Then I kind of forgot about it. And then 2 days ago, I saw that this person indeed was able to go to the early screening, and they saw it. And I was like, good on them. Good job.
That's
So
awesome.
can't necessarily give Gunn credit because I don't know if he was the one involved, but they're doing the right things over there. And the person was smiling in the picture in the movie theater after the credits were rolling, so I can only assume they liked it. So that's a good first impression.
Yeah, that's great. And then also, I don't know if you've seen this. Is it on Threads? I think you can hide text now with spoilers. So
it's little sparkly glitter that you tap and it disappears.
Hopefully people use this. I'm talking to people out there who want to put spoilers out. Hopefully they use this. But that's a cool feature that social media is at least picking up on. We know things can get ruined. Here's a feature if people choose to use it for that. So Superman's going to be here before we know it, Mike. I can't believe this week is already July. So I'm excited to get into the movie season that is July this year, because right after that, unless you have something else, is Fantastic Four at the end of the month, right? And we got our final trailer for the movie this week. I don't know if you watched it. I assume you didn't, but there's been some screen.
Is it the one where he's got a rock beard?
He's got the rock beard at the end. Yeah, they showed the thing with his rock beard, which is right from the comic books, which is really fun. So we get to see the flaming it's just a standard trailer reminding you to get your tickets. We got to see a little bit more stretchiness from Mr. Fantastic in one clip. They're really hiding that. We get to see Sue Richards with her baby. We get to see the flaming Fantastic Four logo, which is a staple for these movies in the comic books, and some of the Galactus stuff. So I'm excited. I'm trying not to watch it all. I'm not trying to go dig deep frame by frame with this, but it's really fun to know we're gonna have a pretty good July with superhero movies throughout this. Is there since knowing that this is the final Marvel movie of the year. Is there what do you want to in the first movie of Phase? Is it 8 or 9? Is there anything you need to get out of this? But when it's done, like because we won't have another movie until Spider-Man next year, and I don't think it's connected.
I mean, not to put too much pressure on the Fantastic Four, but I would like a Marvel movie to not only be good, but also get me really excited for the next installments in the universe. Thunderbolts was really, really good, and I liked it. But I kind of felt like, if I saw these characters again, that would be great. But I didn't really feel like I was being launched into the next chapter of the MCU. So
the problem with
I
that
think
was
I'm
it was the
hoping
last movie of a phase as well.
Yeah, and it didn't really. It did the phases at Marvel right now, at least to me, feel kind of meaningless.
They're made up.
Yeah, exactly. There's no like definitive like bang, that's ending them like a big Avengers movie or something.
And honestly, I don't think had we not had the whimper that was Captain America, I think Thunderbolts would have landed harder. I think everyone got burned by Captain America 2 months prior. And then they were like, I don't know if I want to go watch another Marvel movie after watching Captain America. Kind of thing. It's like when you have a bad taste, you're like, I don't think I don't need to drink another strawberry beer with bits in it, but by God, I guess I will. So I hope it's good. I'm again, we've talked about, I'm excited about the visuals, the standalone universe-ness of it. The score, everything, this world they live in, they've got a lot going for it, so hopefully we can get in there and have a good time with that. I can't remember his name. I'm bad with namesakes one of those days. The guy in The Bear who plays the Thing.
Eben Moss Baccarat.
Yes, his name's Cousin in that. Is that what they call him, Cousin?
Yeah, kind of colloquially, yeah.
Yeah. Didn't a new season of that just come out as well?
Yeah, we're about halfway through it, and it's great. We just are, whenever we can find time to watch an episode, we do. And the thing is, The Bear is so popular right now, and all of the episodes drop on one day that people just like binge. They classically binge it all the way through. Then everybody's putting their opinions, their hot takes, they're sharing screenshots of kind of like character reveals, and it's not like there's like big twist turn spoilers in the show, but the show is now really popular enough to where kind of the reveals they like to do is when they'll bring in like a new character or like a relative, and it's like a big star, so it's like they're kind of like big casting surprises. And it's already been spoiled for me, and I haven't even made it to the episode yet, so I don't know, just a downside to dropping all episodes at once.
Between that and Squid Game, those are like the only two things I'm seeing right now, is like everybody watching those and putting that stuff online. It's a good day for good month for TV viewing. So anyway, Fantastic Four, end of July. John Bernthal's The Punisher special presentation will start filming from mid-July through August, I think, in New York. Now, that doesn't mean it's the whole show, but it's only like these things are like, special projects are like 30 minutes to 40 minutes, maybe, most. So it's a small thing. It'll be done after Born Again wraps up. The rumor is that a female mobster will be the villain. Isabella Carmela Magdalena, called Ma Nucci. And in the comic books, I looked this character up. She goes after Frank when he kills 3 of her sons, who are essentially mobsters, like what Frank does. The MCU version of Frank Castle and the Punisher, probably not as brutal in this regard, but it would be interesting to see how this ties into both the Daredevil Born Again, his appearance there, standalone Punisher, and then obviously, as we talked about last week, him being in Spider-Man, right? How does this bridge all the gaps here with this potential rumored villain?
And we just haven't had enough special presentations to really know kind of what they're supposed to be, or what they imagine a special presentation is supposed to be doing for the character, right? With Guardians of the Galaxy, it was just kind of like, oh, Gunn just wants to do a Christmas special.
He can't
it's just
stop
on his
writing.
kind of,
He just
yeah.
won't put the thing down.
Yeah, it's just like on his wish list. It's something he'd like to do. And, of course, Disney Plus was like, yeah, we're looking for content. Yeah, we'll greenlight that. Make it a special presentation. And then we saw Werewolf by Night, which kind of felt more like, oh, this is strategic. This is how we're going to kind of soft introduce this character so we don't have to like blow a whole budget on a movie, but at least people will be familiar with this kind of like more out of ordinary character in the MCU.
But it's
kind of
also
from
not a
this
full
monster.
series that they have to do all the homework
Yeah,
for.
but now they're doing one for the Punisher, which, I mean, as far as the audience is concerned, very familiar with. There's been 2 seasons of the Punisher. The Punisher has showed up in like both iterations of the Daredevil series now, and heavily implied, if not confirmed, from last week that he's going to be in the Spider-Man movie. It just makes me wonder, like, well, we don't need to prime the audience that John Bernthal is the Punisher. I feel like that is kind of fact out there in the world. So what is this supposed to be doing for us, right? No knock if they're just trying to tell like a good story. Like maybe they just got a good script and like, hey, I think this will be good. I mean, that's fine too, but it seems like there's got to be like a strategic component to this.
Yeah.
Like, do we need to get John Bernthal's Punisher in a place where he slots into Spider-Man easier, and that's what this is doing, because where he ended in the last season of Daredevil just doesn't quite put him where he needs to be. Like maybe that's the strategy. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even say. Yeah, I think it is moving him to a place where he is relevant because, as it's kind of like, I don't know if it's kind of like that because they put Charlie Cox in the Spider-Man movies kind of briefly, obviously for a small scene and back the other way. But like, yeah, I think they need to move him away from the Defenders because again, I'm going to complain about this one more time, Mike. Daredevil doesn't feel like it's in the MCU. Everything's in New York, but everything else is going on in New York. They don't feel like they're really touching, right? It's not the same New York they're both in. So how do we move the Punisher out of Defenders Marvel TV New York into MCU New York proper? And it sounds like it's a big deal. It's probably not that big of a deal, but it's probably something that makes them cross paths. We talked about this. If we, depending on how Daredevil Born Again season 2 ends, will the anti-vigilante task force, if it's still around, then they'll be going after Spider-Man, but the Punisher won't be on their side. So the Punisher wouldn't be going after Spider-Man, much like that comic book cover we looked at. But again, what if that doesn't, the anti-vigilante task force doesn't exist? Maybe, do you think at the end of this we get across, like, somehow Spider-Man prevents him from killing someone, or Spider-Man does something that gets somebody else killed, and the Punisher's mad at him, and now has him on his list to go after, right? Like, you're just a kid out here being reckless and irresponsible and getting people killed because he's not doing the job that needs to be done, kind of deal.
Yeah, maybe. Could be a possibility.
I would love to see someone from the movies show up in the special presentation. Even if it's the final scene, the connecting post-credits, whatever, they need to bring someone from the movies into this special presentation. And my gut instinct tells me it's going to be Spider-Man, if I was to take a guess.
I mean, they could. I mean, I suppose there could be a carve out, a deal could be made. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I feel like I've seen so many headlines that say Spider-Man can never appear in a Disney Plus show, like hard, fast stop. But they could be clever where if they want the very, very last shot of it to be, they could just be a web coming in from off screen, pinning Frank to the wall or something. We're all going to know what that web means, right? Or you don't even have to show Spider-Man.
Or even like, if he's webbed up a criminal outside that Frank, left behind or
was supposed to, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they could absolutely do it without bringing him in there, which would be, it'd be cool. It'd be interesting, but yeah. So it sounds like it's going to be a short film. That means to me, Mike, this is going to be a quick turnaround, right? If they're filming, at most 6 weeks, that's going to be a quick turnaround for a 40-minute max show, episode, if you will. So I do think we'll probably get this. I guarantee we'll get it before Spider-Man next summer. Does that sound fair in your world as well?
Trying to think what do we have left on the Disney Plus Marvel docket before, I guess another season of Daredevil,
Yep.
Vision Quest,
Yep.
anything else? Can you recall anything else
Well,
that's in,
that,
Wonder Man.
Wonder Man is done. It just hasn't aired. If that's what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
that's the end of the year, right?
Yeah, that's a December show. Daredevil, they said will come back in. It started in April, right, or March or April of this year. It'll be the same following year, like following TV schedule. Um, so I think, and we don't have any Marvel movies, so I think by the time Daredevil wraps in April, maybe maybe the first of
Yeah.
May there, by June they could put it into play.
Yeah, it sounds like they'll have room in the sketch.
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't even think X-Men 97 season 2. Is there anything else? Have they even announced any live action stuff? I don't think
Is
so.
there maybe the Marvel Zombies show
That's
at
done.
some point?
That's October this year. That's already done as well.
Okay.
Because 4 episodes. Like the Eyes of Wakanda is after this as well. And What If's wrapped up. I was trying to think. I feel like there's something else, but I don't think they've announced any live action shows, have they? Or sequels. I will put it. It's not really newsworthy. I did see a rumor that Marvel and Jeremy Renner are now continually talking about bringing him back for Hawkeye season 2, after he was said no the first time. Which really, I'd say give him some money and get a stunt double for most of his stuff. Right? Like he was almost killed by a snowmobile, or not a snow shovel machine, or whatever it's called. So I'm like, he's not going to be there doing the stunts. I think get him back in, get him his send off, and we'll call him done in season 2.
Yeah, I mean, if this is a strategy for holding out for money, I'm here for it. Good on him. I don't know if it would be too close to home for him, but it would be kind of interesting if they built it into the story. Maybe the opening of whatever Disney Plus series he's in, like Hawkeye just meets his fate with something brutal, and then he is kind of not the same afterwards, and he really has to rely on Kate to take up the mantle. But I don't know, maybe no writer would want to pitch that to him, like, hey, remember how you almost died? You want to commit that to film?
I think they kind of started doing that in the first season when he lost his hearing. Remember, he had the hearing aids. Maybe it's a temporary vision impairment kind of thing, because Hawkeye needs that to shoot his arrows, if you will. So maybe does he? In Avengers, he was shooting arrows behind himself, so maybe he doesn't even need that. Hell, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But anyway, sounds like maybe Hawkeye might be the next one. But yeah, we got plenty of time to get this out. Let's move into Spider-Man: Brand New Day. There is the director of photography for this movie, Brett Pollock, has shared essentially a mood board for this movie on Pinterest. The link's already been taken down, Mike. So I had
we know what that means. There could be some truth in there.
So I shared one of the images I saw on someone took some screenshots, put it on Twitter. If it's taken down, highly likely that it's true. And it was essentially, he probably just didn't know it was a public board. But as a director of photography, he has to get ideas, some imagery stuff. He's taken a lot from the comic books and some fan art here. Very, very homemade suity images he's kind of pulled here in this one image we have here. I want to say the one image in the upper right is from the video game Spider-Man from PlayStation 5. It looks like. But it's really cool to see him fighting the Hulk in 2 images, which kind of leads credence to that theory that we had a while ago, that the Punisher and Spider-Man were teaming up to take on Savage Hulk in New York, which I again wrote down as a rumor, had no inclination it would be even close to being true. Just thought that's a fun little idea someone had on a weekend while drinking bad strawberry beer that went but this is kind of cool to kind of, I guess, get that I would say loose confirmation here.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder, right? If I was kind of if all of these MCU movies were like comic books, right, instead of movies, the movies didn't exist, And I was reading a Captain America comic where he fights the Red Hulk, and then a couple months later or a year later, there's like a new like run where like Spider-Man is fighting the Hulk. Wouldn't think anything of it. And I was like, oh, the Hulks just exist in the universe, are all over the place, right? But when you kind of drastically reduce the sample size, and there's only like a few movies a year, and it's just like, well, didn't they just chuck a Hulk into one of these other movies? Is this the strategy now? Whenever we need like a villain, just throw a Hulk in there because we can't make a movie about him on his own. That's kind of like the cynical take. But if they are throwing a Hulk in there, like I would hope that there is a unique story element to it in some way, right? We've already kind of had the like, oh, a Hulk loses control and they have to fight it. That's been around for a while. So if we do get a Hulk in Spider-Man's world, I would like at least if there be a narrative reason for it.
Well, I absolutely. I think we have gone too soft on the Hulks. I agree that we have done the first Hulk, Savage Hulk. That's how I did in the comic books. I think we've gone way too soft. We've got Mark Ruffalo doing double duties, Mark Ruffalo and Smart Hulk. We had Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk. They're not. Are they even threatening anymore? When you see one, you're just like, yeah, it's a Hulk person. That's fine. They can punch. They can take a punch. Like
I just had to Google, has Spider-Man ever defeated Hulk? And they said there has never been a definitive or decisive victory where Spider-Man has defeated the Hulk. He's gotten some good punches in, but he has never defeated the Hulk, which makes sense. Spider-Man is not up to that level, so he'll need some backup for sure.
Well, I don't think Frank Castle is going to beat the Hulk either. Look that one up. I bet that's a no as well. So to me it is, these images in this movie aren't necessarily confirmation, but like if you go look at all these things, I just put the link to some of the screenshots on here. It's fun to see how a director of photography takes a look at like, hey, here's what I want this to look like, and how do you convey, like you can probably tell someone what you want to like, but it's better to show somebody something that already exists and take it from there, right? And this is a extremely very moody looking film he's kind of creating here, right? Lots of dark shadows, some sunbeams poking through, some steam from the ground. He even included a shot from the Amazing Spider-Man 2 where he's throwing the sewer cap into the rhino at the end of the movie there. So like it's fun to look, like, even if the Hulk's not in this and whatever, it's still really cool to see what's going through his mind. He's like, I want this movie to look like this when he's working with the team to get it done. I think it's to me it's fascinating. I like looking at pictures. I like looking at how a camera would operate and how this works. Because the sad part is most of this is probably going to be blue screened later. So does he work with the effects people, you think, to say, hey, this is what I wanted it to look like in effects in the final cut with the effects added to it when he's building?
I would hope so. I would think the next step after this mood board, would be go to the Marvel art team. What is it? Ryan Meinerding. Yeah, like his team, right? They're going over there and they're like, hey, okay, render me some of these beautiful shots like this. Let's get this going, get this pre-development up and running.
Yeah. So I've included links in here. You guys can check out some of those. I think it's really fun to look at and get some ideas. But the fact he did include a homemade suit sticking to a window, and then the two Hulks is very interesting. One where he's fighting, and one where it looks like he's a friend of the Hulk. So that'd be a hell of a team up fight scene. I wonder who they'd be fighting, but it would be great to see in film. Way better than anything Sony gave us, Mike. And that's where we get to the final topic for you. Hopefully your drink's treating you right.
Hey, let's do it. I am not even halfway through this beer.
Oh no.
And I've made it past, the neck of the bottle. Uh-huh. So like now I'm into like the bulk of it. I'm probably drinking like a third of this thing.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. Hopefully it's still cool for you. I don't like it when they get warm. When we're taking too long. But Sony, the rumor is the studio has effectively paused all plans for its live-action Spider-Man spin-offs. You're welcome. You're welcome, Mike. That's the news you wanted to hear. Including a Null project, Null the symbiote king from Venom, that was planned post Venom 3. I don't know what stopped them from doing this. Maybe the low box office of Kraven and the ridiculing of Madam Web that's still going on to this day. I can't say what made Sony do that, because Sony doesn't operate like a normal movie studio. I think they just do the opposite of what you think they're gonna do most of the time. They have some good stuff, but like they're not like a Marvel, they're not a Disney, they're not an Amazon or whatever, a DC, where you're like, oh, kind of see what they're doing here. Sony was just off the rails. But it sounds like maybe they're going to be putting their faith back into Spider-Man proper rather than anything else going forward.
Yeah, I'm curious if anybody over there gets embarrassed, right? You know, obviously, the higher you go up to the food chain, they just want box office return. Investors don't care what they're doing as long as they see the stock price, going up. But there's got to be creatives lower down the ladder that's like, we got to be putting out better stuff than this. And I don't know, maybe Sony also is seeing the amazing performance that they're getting on their video game adaptations. I mean, I'm sure they're getting a cut of The Last of Us in some way. They're seeing all these other video game properties getting these like $1 billion box office returns. Like maybe that's where you pivot. I'd take all of the elbow grease that you put in these awful spinoffs and like look into this Sony library of video games, and you're probably, you're going to have at least equal chance, if not better, of adapting that stuff. And you also get to tap into like a newer audience, right? Like the superhero audience, I'm not going to say superhero fatigue is here or even bring that argument up, but there's definitely not video game fatigue in the movie space. So just get in there and start making stuff.
Well, they tried that with the Nathan Drake Uncharted movie. I don't think that turned out well for him, did it?
It was okay. I watched it. It was fine.
I'm not being mean. I'm just being more curious. I don't think it had the return they were looking for.
No, I don't think it. And they even had Tom Holland in front of it too.
Yeah, because I'm looking here. A lot of their franchises they rely on. They obviously Spider-Verse movies. Ghostbusters is a big one for them as well. Bad Boys is under their umbrella. Kind of just going through their little it's because it's Columbia Pictures. I typed in Sony. I'm like, why is this not showing me anything? Oh, that's because we were looking at Sony Pictures is the TV studio. Bad Boys. I'm trying to see if they got something. What they got coming up? They had Karate Kids Legends. They distributed Paddington and Peru, Mike, so you can blame them for making that 6 months late outside the UK. Let's see here. I'm just gonna list off their last few films here, and you tell me what you think. 28 Years Later.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things.
Okay, Karate Kid Legends.
I have not heard good things.
Okay, Paddington in Peru.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how that one, the legacy of that one goes.
Craven, we're not gonna talk about it. Venom, we're not gonna talk about it. Saturday Night, the SNL.
Oh yeah, I heard good things, but no one's really talked about it recently.
Oh, the one that people have talked about in a bad way. It Ends with Us. The Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni film. That each other
yeah, the drama around that.
Yeah. Harold and the Purple Crown.
Oh, the Purple Crayon. That was the Zachary Levi stinker.
Yeah. So, the Garfield movie. Oh my gosh, I feel like they don't have any. I feel like they've got a lot more whiffs than hits right now. Do you think maybe they're just going to pull back for a little bit, focus up?
It sounds like they need to do some get some new hires, get some new leadership over there.
Yeah. Ghostbusters was good. Madam Web. Bad Boys wasn't bad. They got the upcoming I Know What You Did Last Summer. The reboot continuation. Anaconda. The Paul Rudd
That one might be. That one actually might be fun. We'll see. Maybe that'll be the one that saves the studio. The giant snake movie.
Yep. Oh, I forgot they do. They have Legend of Zelda under their belt as well. The
Oh,
live
that's
action.
theirs.
Yeah, with Nintendo. Yeah.
Hey, there you go. I just said video games, right?
Yep. Yep. Does Jumanji count? They've done the
Sure.
new ones. The new ones.
Sure, that counts.
There's more video game Jumanji movies than board game Jumanji movies. And Resident Evil. They also own Resident Evil, which will be next, or 2026 as well. So, yeah, maybe it is video games for them. But I think they're gonna focus up because I listed these off, and mostly just to get to the hour mark for us. But boy, these sound like a lot of whiffs when you look at it overall. So maybe they could use a little focus, a little back to basics over there at Columbia Photos or Columbia Pictures. But this was not mean. Just so everyone knows, this does not relate to the series that they sold. So Spider-Man Noir is an Amazon production, licensing the rights. So that will still be coming out with Nicolas Cage. So we will still be getting Spider-Man Noir. Mike, that's the end of the show. We made it almost an hour. It's good for me. Gonna wrap this up. Enjoy my 4th of July. Get me in the firework mood. Get some funny shirts out here. If people want to know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at?
Well, they can find my webcomics at liferewardsrisk.com and pickledcomics.com. Chris, people want to find you. Where can they find you?
Find me on Instagram, Valdan87, VALDAN, or Video Game Systems of this with the same name. People want to know more about the show, what we're doing, the release schedules that I obviously need to pay more attention to before I do these notes and spend 3 minutes about busting my computer open trying to get this to stream. Where can I get all them goodies at?
Yeah, well, if you retain all of your fingers after the 4th of July, use them little digits to head on over to superheroslate.com. Best place to find our awesome show notes, our upcoming release calendar. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love listening to find podcasts like our own. We got merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Reach out. Let us know what you're watching, what you're playing, what you're reading, what you're listening to. We love our super fans, and if you want to be a super fan, all you have to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week, folks.
That's right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.